Hey, what's up YouTube? So today I finally hit level 100. It's been what, like 38 days since the character first was born in raid class. And yeah, I did 99 to 100 in roughly like 2 to 3 days just doing 5 ways, and it was really fast, probably around like 8 hours or so. I didn't even spend any money, so I started at around like 40x and I ended at like 65x. And I started charging a little more for the 5 way carry, so I was charging around like 2 exalts per 5 sets, and it ended up being quite a bit of profit. Now there is one issue with 5 way hosting, and I want to warn everyone about it, and it is the fact that you crash a lot in 5 ways. I don't know why you crash, but if you crash, you have to do another set for the person or the group. So during a set of 20, I had 5 crashes yesterday, and it's actually just quite an aberration or out of the norm because out of all of the sets I did earlier, from the previous days, I never really crashed, so I don't really know what happened. I don't know if someone had a bad internet connection to cause it, or if someone was wearing too much microtransactions, because I know a lot of people ask everyone to turn off their microtransactions, but let's just say it kind of sucks when you crash, so that's something to keep in mind if you're trying to do 5 ways per profit. On the other hand, the character is level 100, and I just spent the point getting this point here. If I didn't want ES, I would probably take overcharge. So if I was mapping, I would have some power and frenzy charges. So this character is pretty much what you would consider done at this point, and I'll go over the gear overview. And then I'll go over pretty much like what I intend to do now, because I do intend to probably host more 5 ways on a different character. However, the character will be a lightning arrow guy, and I'll try to get 100 with him as fast as possible while making some currency. And most importantly, I'm going to try to come up with a leveling guide for everyone for how to level an aura stacker once you have currency. Because a lot of people ask me, like, how do I level up an aura stacker? What did you do to level? And there is a one answer solution that is by far the best, and it is Hollow Palm. And I'll go over all of the gear I have for it. Because tomorrow I'll level on stream and I'll come up with everything, and I'll show everyone the leveling gear and the leveling pod for how you should proceed while leveling the character and how fast it truly is. Because the first step to making an ore stacker is to level 1, right? So anyhow, before we get into the the whole leveling experience, I wanted to go over the gear overview real fast just to show what gear I had in the final iteration of the character. So for the level 100 guy, we have a double damage Nebulous. Now this Nebulous, I was never able to really upgrade more. Every single time I tried to search for a double damage with multi, it never appeared. Double damage explode never appeared. A lot of that had to deal with how there's no more fear multi-boxing, so people weren't spawning a bunch of Nebulouses from every Cortex skill. So instead of one person doing 6 feared sets, or yeah, feared maps, they were only able to do 1, so that really cut down on the supply of Nebulouses that were really insane. Now this helm was something that I know I was never going to replace. Like, the only way that this helm could be better is if it had elevated crit, and if it also had increased AoE instead of the flat ES that was crafted. But all of those things are near impossibilities, and they're pretty much impossible to do, because without harvest, if you break one of the steps to try to get the elevated crit, you go back to square one. And getting back to that step, I think costs around 400 exalts, so it would be like a 6 to 7 mirror craft. And no one really crafted it because the person hit the helm and there's really no competition to warrant it. So this amulet was something I actually bought for 8 exalts from someone. Like, one night I just had a search going and I found this amulet, and it's actually quite remarkable that it existed, because it had pen and then it had T1% ES and then it has T1 cold. So it's pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4 mods on it that were really good. Then I unveiled increased effective non-damaging ailments, which at the time was absolutely crazy for my self-chill aura stacker, but now I wish I could have unveiled a brand attachment range, which would be insane for the build. And I crafted on flat ES. If you wanted to go a damage route, you would probably craft on like flat percent area damage or along with area effect. Now the Prism Guardian, I got this pretty early on. It was around like 30x or so. Let's see if they ever got cheaper. This was an item that I really thought would get cheaper over time, right? But it just never turned out to be the case. So if you wanted to make some profit, I'm pretty sure corrupting these are pretty good in general. Wow, this guy's selling one for 2.5x. How did no one snipe this? But If you were to look for another mod on this, you would try to get like physical damage taken as lightning, cold, or fire, which is pretty much some more physical damage reduction for us. Because I think in the end, this build's weakness is the physical damage reduction, and yeah. So getting that mod on the implicits for Prism Guardian is actually really important. Now for the rings, I had a Hatred ring. I bought this really early on for 7 exalts, 8 exalts. I think it is still probably around like 30, 40-ish. Oh, it's 20x. I guess more and more people corrupted it. Or is it 20x? Maybe this is a bad roll. Oh yeah, for one of these, never buy the ones with 40%. Always make sure it is 48%. So 48% is 45x. So it really went up in price. Now I would have gotten another aura implicit ring, but it turns out I couldn't run all my auras since I don't have any more 50% auras to put on the Prism Guardian. So that's just something to keep in mind. I settled with Discipline Aura effect because it gave me more ES. Now this Shavs is pretty much a Shavs that I use only because of the helmet, right? So because of the helmet, I was able to afford to put a 6 link for my auras, and since the helmet was missing some RMR, I had to use Enlighten and the links to really compensate for it. Because Enlighten brings the 50% auras from, let's see, or 35% auras from 22.01%. If you take out the Enlighten, it goes to 26.21%. So Enlighten level 4 is a pretty big deal. And the +1 to gems affects it in that it gives level 5 Enlighten, and +2 is important to get 23 purities, because without the 23 plus purities, we won't have 90% res because we don't have 350% aura effectiveness, or 375% is what you would need. And I put Vitality in here because our regen is pretty bad overall in this build, and with Vitality in here, we have 801, which is pretty close to what it was pre-nerf, because they did nerf Vitality a little bit. Now these boots I bought, a viewer sold them to me. It was Elusive and Tailwind. I think it was like 20x, and then I crafted the rest of it. I added Aspect of the Avian on, even though I'm not using Aspect of the Avian. And then I unveiled Cannot Be Chilled with move speed, and then I crafted on Cannot Be Frozen, which is probably the ideal scenario for what you would want. If you want it for more speed, you would try to get movement speed with increased movement speed when you haven't been hit recently, so that would be the best clear setup. Now, Hands of the High Templar and Asenaths are what I ended up using, so you can see my Hands of the High Templar, right? This is the one I use from bossing. If you want a better pair of Hands of the High Templar, you would try to go for like +6 in LE weakness. I don't know if there was ever a +8 LE weakness pair or +8 spell crit player, and I don't think it would exist. And then the Headhunter, I used Discipline and Cast Speed. So this is a Headhunter that I got. I had a lot of iterations. When I played Spark in the beginning, I had a Malevolence one. Then when I played Blade Vortex, I had a Duration one. And then when I played Penance Brand, I had a Cast Speed one. So the Headhunter, you should really tailor towards like what you're doing and what skill you're using. I think in one of the coming videos, I'm going to go over all the skills and rate them for like single target mapping and then overall, because I think that's pretty important. And all these flasks are pretty much irreplaceable, I think. You have the Sinner Swallow, Bottle of Faith, and Aziri's Promise as a unique flask. You could technically use Taste of Hate instead of Aziri's Promise, but I like the Chaos Res. And I think Aziri's Promise is just completely broken for Penance Brand. So now we move on to the jewels. So these jewels, the bulk of the cost, and it feels really bad buying the gear, right? Where you have these jewels here that cost what? Let's see, Armor Might and Meek, I know it's like 20x. And then Armor Intuitive Leap is 25x. So Intuitive Leap's a little cheaper. I saw it go up to 30, 35x at the time. These two jewels by itself are 45x. Feels really bad to buy these, but you do have to buy them, because without it, you won't have enough RMR to do a lot of crazy stuff, like have more brand clusters and be able to use the helm. The helm is the main reason why we need so much reduced reservation. So we have a lot of jewels. So we have a lot of double multi cast speed jewels. I was trying to get more double multi jewels with reduced reservation along with Cold Pen, but it seems like this league was just a little more dead in terms of the high end stuff, and I was never really able to get anything. This is a jewel I use because I needed phasing. So I got ES and phasing on kill. I would prefer to have fire damage as spells, but I use Herald of Ash anyhow now for clear. So you can see my Penance Brand has some fire damage to it, which is pretty good. So in the end, you need 3 brand loyalty remarkables and 1 brand loyalty holy conquest. And the 3 remarkables are so that you place down 2 penance brands at a time. And this is really important because it's a huge quality of life for mapping, and single targets important so the brand durations are not overlapped. So you can stack the stacks immediately. So all of these have reservation of skills, and I chose these because these jewels were really cheap. So when I bought these jewels, they were like 20 chaos each, and I corrupted a bunch of them, like 100 plus, and I got all of these pretty much myself. So I have 4 reduced reservation of skills on a medium cluster. This large cluster here is one I bought for like 19x. So Vengeful Commander and Widespread Destruction pretty much, and this was, I think, 18x or so. And I was unable to get Purposeful Harbinger first among. I think there's like none for sale of reduced reservation of skills except 2 for 150x that just got posted today by Bo Gingwan, and he's a pretty good stacker that hangs out in the stream. And yeah, I mean, since I released the budget guide, the Purposeful Harbinger jewels with either replenishing or first among just became prohibitively expensive, so I kind of screwed myself over with the budget guide. Because the jewels went up from 1 to 4x, and corrupting like 60 jewels at 4x is just not viable for me personally, because that's like spending like 240x, and yeah, no one's gonna actually pay 240x for the first amount purposeful. So when a jewel becomes that expensive, it's really hard to expect to get reduced reservation of skills. And with this current setup, we pretty much need a Purposeful Harbinger for these, because you need 2 Purposeful Harbingers no matter what. And then I chose to use 2 of these clusters to get more ES and fix my chaos res issue. So I bought these around for like 10 to 20x, depending on, I don't remember. I think some of these are Oct Chaos to get chaos res on. So basically these jewels I used to fix my ES issues and chaos res problems. And yeah, and these jewels I couldn't get reduced reservation of skills either, because it's pretty much just impossible to get, because you're corrupting like a 20x, 15-20x jewel, and that's just too expensive for me personally, and no one would also buy the reduced reservation of skill ones. Although, if you really were playing till the very, very end of the league and you wanted a perfect character, you would get all of these reduced reservation of skills, and you would probably get it sooner or later. And then once you get these, you see these jewels here that are like dual multi. You can get triple multi and ES for like 50x or so, and that would give you 8% more ES and around like 15% more multi. So that's what you actually gain for switching these over to reduce reservation of skills. So every single cluster you get RMR on, you can switch out one of your Cobalt jewels to one that's absolutely perfect. Now this Glorious Vanity is something that is pretty much game changing for the build. It turned out to be a miracle that it actually had this node that converted fizz damage to lightning damage. And yeah, it's just pretty crazy that the best jewel in terms of percent. And it also has, does it have multi on this? I don't think so. But this jewel is 48% for 7 points. A lot of people always ask. And it also has this insane node for Penance Brand that allows us to not use Fizz to Lightning. And I had a 1 passive point voices, a 3 passive point voices, and a large cluster. I don't know if I would have experimented with using 3 voices. It could have been viable, but yeah, I could have tried using 3 voices. Maybe 3 voices was the right solution in the end. I would not go over 4 brand clusters. You could theoretically add in another brand cluster and change this to another first among replenishing and get an RMR, which would be pretty good. But that's neither something that I'm going to be doing. But just to keep in mind, you can use 3 voices, but you'll probably need like 3 passives and 1 passive voices to pull that off. And the tree in the end, I was pretty satisfied with. Getting this node with the extra brand really helped out with Remarkable, and it also had brand damage and attachment range, and it was just unintuitively, it was kind of efficient. We do lose out on a bit of multi from doing this. And this Glorious Vanity, although it's good, costs us like 3 points because it changes these nodes to go up here, and this node is pretty much mandatory. Without this node, you pretty much do around like half damage. But overall, the whole gear setup was, I mean, this is the setup for most builds, right? All aura stackers, there's not much like diversity in like your skill tree. Every skill tree looks the same. The only choices you make is a large cluster situation. And right now, I think the meta for new skills is how many medium clusters for damage you can fit in while trading off aura effect. Unless you're playing like Spark or one of the OG skills. But for the new skills that rely on clusters that are game breaking for clusters, like Blade Vortex for area and Brands for attachment range and and cast speed and additional brand chance, it's absolutely game breaking. So you're pretty much playing this whole balancing act between trading off your cluster jewels from aura effect into brand or area of effect cluster jewels. So the Glorious Vanity is what allows us to trade off the aura effect cluster jewels for the brand cluster jewels. So it was a pretty different build overall than what we expected when we came into it. And midway through, discovering Penance Brand was pretty much a lifesaver. Penance Brand is an insane skill because it's Fizz and Lightning, and it's already partially converted for us. So you don't even need a Watcher's Eye to convert it fully. You can just use the Fizz to Lightning gem. And it also has insane base damages. Seem like Penance Brand is a skill that people really people really didn't know how to build around, in my opinion. And wait, let me show you PoE Ninja real fast. And I just wanted to say something real fast. So a lot of people watch these videos. I'm really proud how much people copied it, because everyone here, you try out the build, everyone knows how good Spark is. Everyone knows how good the other skills are, and everyone could tell immediately when I'm trying Penance Brand how good it was. And you can see here, when I first started, there was no one playing Penance Brand, right? There's one person. It was me and this guy, Acro Nice League Launch. So shout out to him for being one of the first. And now look at it. So I hope by the end of the league, when you choose Penance Brand, Ascendants will take over Assassins. I truly believe the build is insane, and it's actually the best skill. And on the topic of skills, for the next video, I will be going over rating the skills for clear speed, because while Penance Brand is amazing, there is a skill that's faster clear wise, and just wanted to talk about it. But the whole package, Penance Brand is it. And overall, this character was a blast to play, and the journeys that it went through, and this is the final iteration, I think. I will probably be trying out a different build at this point, but feel free to ever hop in and ask any questions about the build in the comments or in the next videos. And now I wanted to go over what I'll be doing in the next coming weeks or so in PoE. So starting probably on June 13th, there will be a Gauntlet race, and it will last for 10 days or so. And a Gauntlet race is pretty much a league where all the mods for the private leagues are turned on. So right now I have a practice character, right, because I'm trying to do it. Now I know this is not an Aura stacker currently, but I will probably do a build series for my Gauntlet adventure. It'll be 10 days. There is a prize pool, I think, crowdfunded of 30k or something. But basically, I'm going to be playing a Berserker, and it's going to be a Slam Berserker, and I will also probably make a guide on it. It'll either be a Slam Berserker or Bladefall Blade Blast of Raider. I know a lot of people followed the guide at the league start with Arch Scion, Ascendant, Bladefall Blade Blast, and it'll be pretty similar to that. But the Gauntlet race is 40% more monster life, 20% increased monster damage, and then 20% move speed, attack speed, cast speed, 2 additional projectiles, and 30% extra fizz as fire, cold, and lightning, and negative 20 to all resists. So it's just a lot of mods. So you can pretty much consider this as a double damage map, or a damage map with monster life and monster life, onslaught, and extra damage. So in the end, the whole race is on you're doing a rare map at the whole time. And yeah, so in this race, the whole objective of it is to kill all the bosses, like Aziri, Uber Aziri, Elder, Uber Elder, Maven. The first one to do it all will win. And basically the prize pool is broken down like this: first place 16%, and then there's also, so the reason why it's called a class gauntlet is because everyone will play the same exact class, because there's obviously going to be a best ascendancy, best class. So the way to diversify is that they give top Scion, top Shadow, top Witch, top Templar, top Marauder, top Duelist, top Ranger a share of the prize. You can see it's 8%, so it's getting third place, and it's just to make it so that everyone plays every single class, hopefully. Because in the previous gauntlets they tried, everyone would just play Champion because Champion was broken. So you look at the ladder on PoE Racing, you pretty much just see 50 champions and maybe one outlier, and that just doesn't lead to a very good viewing experience. So next build series or diary for a short term will just be the Gauntlet character, and how I progressed it. And it will be interesting. I don't know if any of you here actually like hardcore. I personally despise hardcore because I think hardcore is the ways you die in hardcore is pretty like cheap, and I feel like you just get one shot it, and you also have to deal with the internet issues, which is also very unpleasant. But yeah, I mean, this is the character that I will be playing. It's gonna be a berserker or a BFBB raider with blade blast. So back to my main guy and what we'll be doing in the coming streams and the next. So I'll continue the build diary series, but I will move it on to my other character now, which will be a hoster, because I really wanted to try out how much you could actually make in terms of XP and how fast you could actually level up a character. Because I really kind of enjoyed hosting. It was pretty fun hanging out with everyone and doing the, what's it called, like leveling in the 5 ways. I just wish there was a way to not crash. So if anyone knows how you can never crash while hosting, please let me know. So I see that these people can get like 4% or so from hosting. So if you want to ever find hosting, you go here. So these people all play the lightning arrow build. So I wanted to test out if I actually made a hoster with carry, headhunter, and lightning arrow and 3 inspired learnings, if I would be able to get people 4%. And then if anyone in the YouTube videos or my stream want to hop in, I would be more than glad to carry it. And I actually haven't played lightning arrow in a while, and lightning arrow used to be one of my favorite builds. So it's going to be a raider character, and while leveling it, I'm going to level with hollow palm, and I'm going to include a leveling guide and leveling palm for hollow palm and what uniques and items you should get. And the way you level the aura stacker is the same exact way. So hollow palm on ranger and scion are very functionally identical. For scion, I think you just beeline for this node. So you just need to get the large jewel socket to put the hollow palm cluster in. I think ranger is probably a slightly better start, but scion is definitely not too bad at getting the large cluster as soon as possible. So that's probably what we'll be doing. And then in the middle or after we finish the hosting, we'll probably be doing a little bit of Gauntlet practice. And I'll also probably be playing the TBC launch when it comes out on June 1st for a few days. So maybe I'll make some YouTube videos regarding the class I'm playing, which will be a warlock if anyone's interested in that. So basically the ore stacker journey has pretty much come to an end, but I actually have another idea in mind. I wanted to try a storm brand with necromancer because of the duration scaling with necromancer on an ore stacker. So that will be the next project in mind, and I will actually give all power siphon and power siphon a try as one last hurrah, just to try out an attack skill on an ore stacker and to confirm my belief that attack skills are really, really bad. So for the highlight for today, I'm going to play a little clip of me leveling, hitting 100 in the Inscribed Ultimatum. I tried to do a headhunter Inscribed Ultimatum to hit 100, but it just didn't happen. And there's just no one really selling Inscribed Ultimatums anymore, so it's kind of sad. And whenever I try to go look for more Inscribed Ultimatums, I can barely find any, even with the live search manager. So yeah, so let me know if you enjoyed the series and what else you might like to see in the comments below, but here goes the clip. So I hope everyone enjoyed seeing me hit 100. It was actually quite a journey. It took quite a while, much longer than I expected. If I knew at the start how OP 5-way hosting was, I probably would have just hosted it myself and hit 100 and did a lot more bossing instead of being afraid to do it. But it is what it is. Next league, definitely will try 5-way hosting early on if I can get my hands on a headhunter, because people love XP, right? And yeah, people will be willing to buy it. And I know today's video was a little longer on the gear overview. I really try to go over each of my rationale behind it and what I would have done differently, and if I would have changed anything if I had infinite currency. But fact of the matter is, this character is pretty perfect as it goes. Its defenses are a little weak. I would probably get a physical damage. As I said, physical damage is his issue, and bumping up the ES is another issue. But at 4 to 5k ES, it's more than enough to survive everything in the game, and you would be perfectly fine. And you pretty much just one-shot everything. I could probably do another fear sometime, but yeah. This character is complete, and I hope that everyone has enjoyed the journey and the penance brand. It's kind of sad seeing that I finally hit 100, right? It took so long. It was actually absurd, but yeah, I hope everyone else hits 100. It'll be good. But penance brand is, I think the big thing discovery of this league is how good brands could be. And it's really something that came about because of the nerf to the aura clusters. The more they nerf the aura clusters, the less value there is from reaching over 300%. And the harder it is to reach 400%, the more reason there is to actually use clusters for other skills, so we can finally unlock other skills. So you can pretty much thank GGG, because without GGG nerfing the first among replenishings, we would have never had the opportunity to use the brand clusters. Or maybe we could have used it in the past and we were just never really tried it out. But anyhow, everyone, thanks for watching. Let me know if you had any other video ideas. I will probably do a ranking of the skills and then the leveling guide in the coming ones. But I stream every day. Be sure to check it out. It'll be fun doing the 5-way hosting the lightning arrow guy. And let's see if we can actually get 4% per map at level 99 or per set. But thanks for watching, everyone. And be sure to like and subscribe if you liked the video. And check out my Twitch stream. And I'll see you next time. And good luck. And I hope you find more mirrors than I do.